territorial and ancestral lands of the Ojibwe people from Garden River and Batchewana First Nations, as well as the Métis people. To the Anishinaabe people, this sacred and spiritual place has been known since time immemorial as Bowatting. We wish to honor the original people on this part of Turtle Island as we recognize their homelands in the spirit of partnership and reconciliation. As part of their ongoing commitment to our local community, Algoma University, the Sault Ste. Marie Chamber of Commerce, and SooToday have partnered to present this evening's event. I would now like to call on our moderator, Dr. Trevor Cheer, Associate Professor of Political Science and Chair of the Department of Law and Politics at Algoma University.
Thank you. And before we begin, I would like to remind everyone here in person that if you haven't already done so, please either turn off or set your phone ringers and notifications to silent and vibrate. I'd like to run through the format for tonight's forums. All candidates on the ballot for the October 24th election were invited to take part tonight. Seating and question order for the candidates was decided by a random draw for tonight's broadcast. Similarly, questions and their order were decided before tonight's broadcast and prior to the candidates' draw. So the first respondent for each question will be based on luck of the draw. Questions will be posed tonight by students currently enrolled in political science and law and justice programs at Algoma University. Thank you to Sakshi Bagadia, Balvin Kaur, and Nadine Roach. Thanks as well to our timer, also a student of the Law and Justice program, Keegan Galt. Once a question has been posed, each candidate will have 90 seconds to respond. At the end of their allotted response time, their mics will be turned off. With each new question, a different candidate will respond first. I'd like to remind all candidates of a few ground rules. Profanity and interrupting candidates who have the mic will not be tolerated. At any point, I may request a candidate to stay on topic. And at the end of our question period, each candidate will have 2 minutes to provide closing remarks. And we've invited candidates to speak about their leadership style in these closing remarks. We would like to thank and welcome the candidates who are joining us this evening for the Ward 1 Forum. Sonny Spina, Johnathan Lalonde, Sandra Hollingsworth, and Brent Derochie. The fifth candidate for City Councillor in Ward 1, William McPhee, sends his regrets and he can't be with us here tonight. He has COVID, and thanks to William McPhee for doing the safe thing for us all tonight and staying home. But he sends his regrets and wish that he could be here with us. At this point, we will move to our first question, so I'd like to invite our first student asking questions tonight, Balvin Kaur, to ask question number 1. Thank you.
Hi there. So my question is, what will you do to improve Sault Ste. Marie's economy, create more jobs and opportunities, and make the city an attractive place to do the business?
Our first respondent to question 1 is Sonny Spina.
Thank you. That's a very important question. You know, when we look at Sault Ste. Marie, it is a city of absolutely endless opportunity. Our community is strong. We've proven that over the years, time and time again. Our community members are resilient. So, sorry? Okay. My apologies. So, moving forward for economic development in Sault Ste. Marie, I've created a 4-year economic development master plan. That plan also includes a 4-year tourism master plan. I want to focus on things that will make Sault Ste. Marie recognizable across the globe as a community that is having an increased, diverse, sustainable, and globally competitive economy that is supported by our energy, manufacturing, innovation, research, small business, and tourism sectors. These are the sectors that will position Sault Ste. Marie and our community here for growth for years to come. We want to focus on Sault Ste. Marie being a place for international businesses to come here and invest, use our workforce, train our people, and attract the best and brightest from across the globe to Sault Ste. Marie to increase the amount of people we have here working and increase our population. For tourism, I want to enhance signature attractions like the Agua Canyon Tour Train and Lake Searchmont. We have a great destination here that everyone can use, and I want to build in partners with our Indigenous community around us to build an authentic, culturally based experience that people can come to Sault Ste. Marie and have.
Thank you. Our next respondent is Johnathan Lalonde.
This is a fitting question for me because I studied community, economic, and social development at Algoma University. And during my program, I learned many strategies on how we can localize our economy. This means to produce the goods and services locally that we can and keep goods and services in this region. This creates jobs for the community and puts a buffer between the region and the global economic shocks. As our large industries and sectors decrease, we need to grow our smaller sectors to keep employment high. We also have the opportunity to develop new sectors and emerging technologies in Sault Ste. Marie. Sault Ste. Marie has potential, and I see that. I graduated and I've lived, decided to stay and live in Sault Ste. Marie. I did not leave like many other people did to find opportunities. I have now been working and decided to run for council to bring what I have to the table. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Sandra Hollingsworth.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. My first degree is in economics, so it's very, very much of a close part of me. I want to say thank you to the small businesses in our community. Small businesses in our community are the backbone. They have grown and they have put their roots here. For example, McDougall Fields, J.D. Arrow. These are sectors that I want to continue to grow on, such as aviation and fuels. We need to continue to support our small businesses since they are the backbones. Give them the breaks that they're looking for. Cut the red tape. For example, another example is in development. We here at City Hall continue to give a hard time to our developers and even regular people that are trying to do some building. The other is healthcare sector. Give a shout out to Dr. Spatafor, who's done a lot of research in cancer. We do have the research here in healthcare, and we need to continue to track healthcare, which is another promising industry. Tourism, we need to bundle packages so that people are not here just for the day. They want to be here for 2 or 3 days, such as the cruise ships. And having said that, yes, we have the quality. Yes, we have the focus of wonderful lifestyle here. Let's build on our strengths. Let's build on what we already have here. As I mentioned, we have energy here. Let's build on that. So small businesses, what can we do for you? Small businesses, you are growing. You employ 150 people to 200. That's significant. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Brent Derochie.
Thank you very much for the question. Sault Ste. Marie has an economic development plan. Let's not tear it up. Let's take advantage of the strategy of building upon it, the city's strengths, and determine what economic opportunities should be targeted and how to pursue them. Our new council should work together to identify a clear set of goals, objectives, and specific actions to further enhance the city of Sault Ste. Marie as the place to be for economic development, such as placemaking, sector profiles, research, website as a business attraction tool, trade shows and conference participation, a trade mission, destination and retail, streetscaping upgrades, control of undesirable uses, downtown building schemes. How about a downtown walking tour for tourism, a night market, programming and events at the Bondar Building, job fairs. In creative economy, how about performing arts center, education summits, innovation hub, fiber optic networks, strategic land assemblies, and future transit services. We have to build on Searchmont and Agua train tours, two beautiful and well-established entities that are well underused. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question will be posed by Nadine Roach.
Question number 2. What will you do to ensure a reasonable minimum standard of living for people in Sault Ste. Marie, including income security, access to affordable, quality housing, and food security?
Thank you for this question. First response goes to Johnathan Lalonde.
Well, for starters, other cities have already moved to a minimum wage increase of $20 an hour. And that can help for a short term to alleviate some of the stresses of what's going on in the economy right now and interest rates going up, things like that. But in the long term, we need to keep people here. We need to create jobs, and we can do that by increasing local food production and having stores buy from local producers. That keeps our food security within the Algoma region. It keeps the costs for some of our goods and services lower compared to getting them brought in from other places. And we have a lot of other support networks in the city that are establishing. We could tap into those and reach their full potential.
Thank you. Next is Sandra Hollingsworth.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. The budget process is significant to the community, and that is where we can definitely improve on in order to basically have the better standard of living. For example, we, as you all know, most people know, in a municipality, you have different ways to generate a revenue. One, through property taxes, and the second one is through user fees. I did a resolution, as you may recall, to say that we have to lobby the province to look at more and better budget processes. We need better revenue tools, and the province and the municipal act must give that to us. Having said that, we have different ways to prioritize our budget process. We should ask the constituents, ask the community, what is a priority to you, and allocate the budget properly. The piece I want to also emphasize is about property taxes. Property taxes are not the best way to actually assess and give us the revenue, because if I own a house that's $200,000, I might be $200,000 worth in a house, but that's not the money in my pocket. So we should be lobbying as one voice with all the different municipalities to say we need to start looking at the income, and we should be able to get a piece of that pie. So those that have a larger income is going to help. So in other words, we had to revamp the basically our tax ways with the province.
Thank you. Next is Brent Derochie.
Thank you for the question. This is a great area of opportunity for the city to support a growing of food locally and establishing local food distribution networks in the city. This includes exploring opportunities to develop a local policy to encourage the development of local food systems and support local farmers and support local food distribution networks. Let's explore hosting a series of workshops to identify barriers and opportunities to encourage growing food in the city and establishing food distribution networks. Let's explore partnerships, opportunities for developing urban farms within the city. There are 3 areas to address, and perhaps we need to see what strategies have been successful in other Northern Ontario communities in regards to the housing. Is Sault Ste. Marie needs to build more physical spaces for people to live. That will entail working with developers to build housing options. Wraparound services are required to ensure successful housing for vulnerable people. We all read about the DSAB comments related to the situation last winter with the hotel. There were serious issues and considerable damage done to the site. This will continue to be the story if we don't strategize for wraparound services that offer basic living skills development and addiction supports, stable food sources, and employment supports. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Sonny Spina.
Thank you. This is an extremely important question. First part of your question I'm going to deal with is food security issues. You know, one of the stats I read, 5.8 million Canadians including, 1.4 million children living in a food insecure household right now. That's 16% of Canadians. That's 12,000 people in Sault Ste. Marie living in food insecure households right now. The implications on the health and wellness of those Canadians, of those Siouxites, we know that there are severe, severe health implications and wellness implications. They can only be reduced through policies that will increase the financial circumstances of the household, make them better. We can invest in programs, and we have invested in great programs that do help people right at the grassroots level, right at the door. We help them right there with great programs that provide good, safe, quality food, healthy food to the individuals. But if we're not improving the quality of life of those individuals, we are not attacking the root cause of the problem. We have to improve the quality of life, and we need policies that will do that, like growing food year-round using greenhouses here in our community. The other part of the issue that you brought up is housing. It's no secret, we're not building enough safe, affordable, accessible housing to meet up with the demand right now. We need to partner with our provincial and federal partners here and clear up excess lands at all levels of government and attribute it to safe, affordable, accessible housing. Those projects need to be built near public transit to give people the best step forward to succeed. We also need to lead on the federal government.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Sakshi Bagadia.
Hello, my question is to get around the city, cars, trucks, buses and bicycle needs good roads. What are your planning priorities for the city roadways? Further, what will you do to improve public transit?
We begin with Sandra Hollingsworth.
Okay, thank you. A couple of things. One, a few months ago, I did do a resolution to look at an inventory of all our roads. For the last 4 years, I have been pushing for more money towards our road system. So having said that, I'm a great believer in bicycling, and that's why we did the pilot project for the Adventure Bus as one example, so that we can all be on the same bus and go up to Hiawatha to go cycling and hiking. The other piece too is that I'm glad to see more bicycling. And what I'd like to see is us to link up to the Superior Trail process. You see them throughout Bar River and the Government Road and so forth, but we need to promote that more. And I would like to see at the edge of each city, or our city, a nice little house of some sort where people can come and fix their bikes and have a map to know where. So going back to how do we fix, I want to focus more on the demand bus that we introduced. I think we're getting some positive results about that, and it's good for safety because if you're working later at night, you can have the bus come to you, make sure you're home safely. So, and again, it's a community bus. With regards to roadways, it's not just resurfacing roadways, it's the structure underneath. And it's the infrastructure that we have to focus on. And we have to work closely with public PUC. When they are looking at water mains, we need to do this project at the same time to save money. So having said that, I'm glad that we have gotten grants.
Thank you. Next we have Brent Derochie.
Thank you for the question. Transportation is about the safe and efficient movement of people, goods, and services. There's an opportunity to build on our current transportation initiatives in a number of ways. By providing transit incentives to local businesses, exploring the feasibility of providing bus passes to the local businesses to give to their employees. There's also, we can explore hop-on, hop-off bus tickets, where you pay once for the day, and you can get on it as many times as you want and get off. And we can look at adding more bus routes for shorter time routes. We don't always need the 40 to 60 passenger buses. We could use the smaller buses. So we should be exploring those. Let's look at roundabouts, especially for moving traffic in more efficiently in higher traffic areas. How about removable speed bumps in school zones, high density areas, parks and playgrounds, timing of traffic lights to move traffic more effectively during high traffic times. Also, the bicycle paths, or bicycles in general, let's have an on-off for bicycles also that end and start on the hub trails. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Sonny Spina.
Hi there. Thank you for this question. This is an important question to me personally. Probably the worst kept secret in Sault Ste. Marie is my love of cycling and active transportation. I love seeing the expansion of these networks across our community, these trail networks and these cycling and active transportation networks across our community. I want to see us enhance that and work with the users at ground level to determine where they want to see these routes, which will make it the easiest way for them to access attractions, businesses, and education facilities within our community. One of the largest barriers to people getting employment, education, and just active social time in our community is the actual barriers to safe, reliable transportation. If we take bus routes and we reduce them and we reduce the time frames, you know, if somebody's working a 3 to 11 shift, if they have to stay for 20 minutes of overtime, they're gonna miss their bus. This can't happen. People cannot get to the jobs they need, they cannot get to education facilities if they don't have safe, reliable transportation. We need to work on that. Now, I'm pleased to work with our cycling club and with our other running clubs and all the other clubs in Sault Ste. Marie to help develop the active transportation network here in our community so that not only can you use public transit, you can also use these active transportation routes to get to places you want to go in the most efficient way possible, so we're not always relying on cars.
Thank you. Next is Johnathan Lalonde.
Thank you for your question. I have lived and been to cities in underdeveloped countries that have better transit systems than Sault Ste. Marie does. So that says a lot. I would like to say that the adventure bus to Hiawatha and Pointe de Chênes service are great steps for expanding the bus system. Features like the bus loop at Sault College improve this system as well. But if we don't have the roads and road infrastructure up to par, what are we driving on our buses on? Nothing. So let's fix up the roads, fix up the road infrastructure. I'm all for putting investment in that for our public transit system, not just for cars. The on-demand service during evenings and weekends was a good idea for low usage times and holidays. We could look at using smaller buses to continue the on-demand services and keep the larger buses for regular service times. We have seen an increase in rideshare opportunities, Easy Ride, U-Ride, things like that. That can be expanded on to include bikes and scooter companies for leisure, recreation, and
Thank you. Our next question comes from Balvin Carr.
So my question again is, what will you do to help to protect the Sault Ste. Marie's natural environment and enhance its recreational opportunities? Thank you.
We begin with Brent Derochie.
Thank you so much for that question. Well, Sault Ste. Marie is largely from the heating and cooling of our industries, homes, and vehicles. We as a community need to focus on how our community energy needs to be met while managing our associated greenhouse and gas emissions and air quality. Examples are existing buildings and upgrade insulation, installing energy-efficient windows, upgrade to energy-efficient appliances, explore opportunities to install solar-efficient panels where applicable, monitor municipal vehicles' idle times when not in motion, reducing the amount of solid waste going to the city landfill by increasing the amount of recycling and composting and garden waste. We have a community that is filled with parks and natural areas that are a keystone of its local ecology and biodiversity. Our green spaces are connected by trails and greenways and provide a range of recreational opportunities that are used by residents of all ages. Let's continue to expand the Hub Trail. Let's bring events and recreational programs to the Bondar and look at bringing bicycle road races and swimming meets and baseball tournaments. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Sonny Spina.
Thank you for the question. You know, Sault Ste. Marie is 238 square kilometers of absolute beauty. I absolutely love this community. I love what this community has to offer, and I want to do everything I can to protect this environment. I spend most of my time outside enjoying the outdoors in our community like many people do here. We have an absolute responsibility to protect our resources and to protect our community and our environment that we all love going out and enjoying. Even in the winter, when it's just as cold, when it's really cold for everyone to go outside, we still love going out and we have to protect that environment. Some of the easiest steps we can take are looking at our public sector vehicles and bringing in zero emissions vehicles to replace older model light duty vehicles that are in our public sector. We can also bring in zero emission light duty equipment that can also help our public services do their jobs and not produce emissions into our environment. You know, we can also look at what would be a reasonable number of replacing fleet vehicles within the public service by 2030, so that we can have a certain percentage of our fleet turn over to zero emissions by that time. I think it's completely doable, and I think it's something we can do together. For recreation, we need to provide better, safe, consistent access to our recreation facilities, our skate parks, our hockey rinks, our soccer pads, and our outdoor activities.
Thank you. Next is Johnathan Lalonde.
Our city is beautiful on the front streets, but in the back alleys and around buildings, there's garbage. We can clean up that garbage and make the city even more beautiful. We could dedicate a work group or company to this to provide employment and skills training, volunteer hours and extra credit to classes. We could do this for increased composting and recycling initiatives. We can plant more trees in boulevards and open spaces, more trees in the downtown core, replace trees that have been knocked down by storms and killed by disease. Those are all things we can do to clean up the city and make it beautiful. We can also do a citywide survey to determine what other recreation opportunities and amenities Sault Ste. Marie wants to see, not just build projects that we think they want. And work with the public on these projects to increase public engagement. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Sandra Hollingsworth.
Thank you. A few things I would like to work on for the environment. Start with Earth Day. I feel that we have a great opportunity to use that as an education piece and to really launch a proper Earth Day plan. We as a city have been working very hard on the environment, but let's dive into this more. I want to go back to working with the schools, with the Conservation Authority, to have cleanup days in wards and all throughout the community. That reinforces the importance of keeping our earth clean. Second, plastic bottles bugs me. I want to have all our plastic bottles eliminated from the city areas. Vending machines that you see along St. Mary's St. Mary's Drive, they should have not plastic bottles in our centers. Also, our industrial partners here in the community should come to council and present their environmental plan to us so we know exactly what their goals are, so we can work with them. Also, with regards to the community gardens, I'd like to see more community gardens throughout to help with our seniors, community gardens in our neighborhoods, with our schools. That also gives us a source of food. And also, I agree with the greenhouses. Also, I want to see more electrical cars. The city has created and started more electrical cars in their fleet, but we should expand that to the school boards, work with the school boards so the yellow buses are electrical. And why are the school buses using so many buses and they're not full capacity? There's a lot we can do. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Nadine Roach.
Good evening again. So how will you carry out your allyship and commitment to the urban Indigenous people of Sault Ste. Marie?
We begin with Sonny Spina.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for that question. You know, I've often bragged about Sault Ste. Marie and our partnerships with our Indigenous communities around us. I really and truly feel we do it better here in Sault Ste. Marie than they do other places in Canada. We have a real partnership and a real understanding where we work collaboratively together towards a common goal, a common vision to have a better quality of life for everyone. Recognizing that there is a large number of urban Indigenous individuals that live right in Sault Ste. Marie, I think it's important for us to take a step back to see how we can better service that community. We have to look for those individuals because they're not always easily identifiable. We have to work for them to provide services that are there for people who live in our neighboring communities. You know, we're not separated by anything more than a street light and a stop sign. You can pass very easily between these communities, and people often do, and we share services and we share just these vague boundaries where we can cross and share our lives together. We should be working together. We should go out and find these individuals so we can provide the best quality of service to those individuals and help in bringing the First Nations culture to individuals and educating individuals within our community so they can better understand the culture and better understand the significance of the area that we're in and how we work together.
Thank you. Next is Johnathan Lalonde.
For your question. Thanks. I am familiar with Indigenous issues and in and around the city. I've been working with the Missinaba Cree Business Corp for the last 2 years. And we've been working on business development for the passenger train initiative, along with training opportunities for Indigenous youth, Indigenous people looking for jobs with the mining and trade sector. We're looking now to expand to different areas. So there is a lot going on, and City Council can definitely support those initiatives that are already happening. We can increase Indigenous economic developments in and around the city, partner with Rankin and Garden River on those initiatives too, and Indigenous entrepreneurship opportunities in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Sandra Hollingsworth.
Thank you. First of all, I want to say thank you to Algoma University, and I apologize, I have speech impediment, the Shangwang Institute. I think they're doing an excellent example of how we can partnership and really learn the Indigenous way. So thank you to Algoma University and the whole team there. With regards to others, I would like to see more of a joint, quite often, joint council with not just our council, but the councils that surround our community, from Garden River, Batchewana, and so forth. There's a chance for us to work together on different projects. What we need to learn more is that the Indigenous groups in this community have done a wonderful job in social housing, but we can still learn from them. For example, there was a school that has been, over the last 2 years, repurposed for single moms and dads. And it's a wonderful project. We need to learn more about that and see how we can invest and support that. The other piece too is that we should work with our school boards. We're learning French. When is it time for them to start learning the Indigenous ways as part of their curriculum? We can lobby and influence that as well. And in our City Hall, we have a Department for Immigration, which is wonderful. Welcome to Sault Ste. Marie. Where's our manager, where's our department that focus on Indigenous so that we can basically fabricate it or weave it into our own society. So I always said this, I'll say again, we need more partnerships.
Thank you. Next is Brent Derochie.
Thank you very much for the question. Any issues that include Indigenous issues will be critical to work with our leaders and the Indigenous leaders, especially who have experience in that area. I fully support any Indigenous lens to be applied and to all our decision-making at City Council. We need to increase partnership with Indigenous ways and businesses. We need to work together in the cultural aspects. Let's get together more at the new Algoma University. What a great place. I walked through it not too long ago, and it's just absolutely phenomenal. We need more of that. We need to have the residents of Sault Ste. Marie, each and every one of them, to go through that, to find out the ways of the Indigenous. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question also comes from Nadine Roach.
So what will you do to ensure that the administration is implementing continuous improvement techniques and benchmarking of best-in-class municipal practices to ensure accountability to the taxpayer and demonstrate return on taxpayers' investment?
Thank you. We'll begin with Johnathan Lalonde.
So with this question, I've been doing a lot of research on, and number one, we need to make City Council transparent. We need to open up the books, show where your taxes are going to, what services we are providing with the money that's coming in. We can look for and maximize efficiencies, look for cost savings in some of these areas. And there's other revenue streams than just taxes. We can look at collecting out fines and outstanding debts and sell and lease excess property that the city is holding on to. All those are revenue streams that we can tap into as well. A good use of taxpayer revenues, make data accessible. We can collect different forms of data using software, GIS monitoring systems to evaluate city infrastructure and put money where it needs to go. And there's a lot more to do with technology.
Thank you. Next is Sandra Hollingsworth.
Thank you. I've always said, I want to say this again, is we need to do more like a question period. Like tonight, look at you tonight in the gallery. Why can't we do this at least twice a year and do it what they do at the federal level? Come in and ask your questions. Send your questions in advance if you're not comfortable to be at the microphone. I could be naive, but we're still a small community. Let's start and continue to be like a small community. So question period. Second thing, before I came on to council, we never even saw the financial statements until the year end. And we introduced quarterly reviews. So we need to expand on that. We also did a resolution, another councillor and I, to say we should list all our expenses on the website. It's not there yet, so I'll continue to push that. That resolution is done. Also, with regards to transparency, I think the Agenda Review Committee should have a council member, if not two. Why is the agenda being set by the mayor and the CEO and not council? That doesn't make sense to me. So the whole process of council also has to be reviewed. When you look at our agenda, there's supposed to be a question period, but not yet once are we allowed to just ask a general question, such as, you know, why aren't the roads being improved? We have to be so tied up to how the agenda is listed. That's not right at all. So to answer your question about transparency, Bush Plain, we did the projects where you went down and talked about the budget face to face.
Thank you. Next is Brent Derochie.
Thank you for the question. The role and responsibilities of a city councilor are set out within a Municipal Government Act. And in order to promote transparency and accountability and to meet any legislated requirements, City Council has established policies and bylaws that guide councilors' conduct and require regular disclosure. They should be fiscally responsible, transparency, open door policies, plan and budget for future infrastructure, project management to ensure projects are on time, on budget, with zero shortcuts. If elected, I plan on keeping taxes low by proposing smart investment opportunities for the community and individuals, which will in turn create a growth in economic prosperity. Taxes are inevitable. Governments require taxes in order to support the community. Yet the amount of taxation will be determined how much City Hall can support the community. I plan to keep taxes low. Spending public funds require the utmost care and integrity when dispersing those dollars. It will be my plan that when we are spending money on new projects, that we will complete public consultation, debate and listen to the experts who will assess the viability of spending and the return on the investment. In order to move the community forward, you sometimes have to invest in projects, but that does not mean putting millions of dollars into projects that are not needed. We must also ensure that we do not spend money until all the assets we require are secured to ensure that we can move forward.
Thank you. Next is Sonny Spina.
Thank you again for this question. You know, one of the biggest things a community can do to help with accountability for its city councilors is receive input from the citizens in the community. And that doesn't just mean saying we had an information session and everybody was welcome to come. That means actively participating, actively finding people to come to those sessions, and when those sessions are not well attended, going out and finding people at their doors and finding out what's important to them so that they can refer it back to you so you can come back to city council. I'd love to see key performance indicators set for city councilors so that every quarter we can review those key performance indicators with the councilors to ensure that they are meeting the needs of our community. We have to have transparency from every city councilor and establish very clear and very measurable goals for each of those individuals so that the citizens can come back and tell us if we're meeting the needs of the community if we're elected. Now, any new project that is ever proposed to the city should always come with a component that explains what the return on that investment will be for the community. We should never have a community that is blindly accepting a project without knowing what the return on that investment will be. We need our community to be fully informed so that they can help councilors make the decisions that are best for the community. Remember, the councilors are here to make the decisions of the community and to bring their concerns forward. So we need to be fully informed as a community so they can tell the councilors what they expect of us.
Thank you. Our final question comes from Sakshi Bagadia.
So what will you do to help improve public health and safety in Sault Ste. Marie?
We begin with Sandra Hollingsworth.
Thank you. As a registered nurse and as a practicing registered nurse, I deal with this every day. Couple things. I'm part of the NOSM Governance Committee, and I've been working hard at lobbying successfully for more seats at NOSM. What I'm trying to say is that municipal government now is not just with the community. You have to lobby at a larger level for major issues such as healthcare. As I mentioned earlier, we have a cancer center. We've been doing some research on our research, and it's been very successful. As a registered nurse, I'll continue to work with NOSM. As a registered nurse, I'll continue to work with the hospital, with the withdrawal center. We have a few beds, 24 beds, but we're still missing point 2. Phase 2, the transitional piece, and I am very, very much going to push for that because someone close to me is a drug addict. And if you just have a person going to a 2-week program and then they go to a day program, it doesn't work. We have to have transitional where they go into an apartment style with the therapy, with others, with quality of life. Healthcare is important. That's important to me. With regards to physician recruitment, yes, we need to make sure that we have more money towards physician recruitment. I want to welcome 2 new family doctors from Mexico that just started here and they purchased a house. I, as a registered nurse, deal with people that don't have family physicians. I saw 20 patients last Thursday, and we need to work on that.
Thank you. Next is Brent Derochie.
Thank you very much for the question. There are numerous programs which have been initiated across Northern Ontario with the assistance of staff and resources from the health unit. Some of those are healthy living food boxes, farmers markets, community gardens, nutritious food baskets, school nutrition programs, partnerships with numerous local food initiatives. Also, in regards to the rehab, let's have a rehab center so we don't have to send our children and our youth and adults away to Thunder Bay or Elliott Lake. Let's have our own rehab center with our own experts in holistic training and life skills coaching so that as they're going through the program and they're finished the program, they can come back out onto the other side with a really good chance of success with programs on the backside so that there's always there in case there's a failure somewhere along the way. In regards to community safety and well-being of planning, let's work with the police and community partners to develop community safety initiatives and resources to help communities address local crime and complex social issues such as mental health and addictions, guns, gang violence, human trafficking, and hate-motivated crimes. There are multitudes of resources that we can explore through successful communities other successful communities and their programs that may be a really good fit here in the Soo.
Thank you. Next is Sonny Spina.
Thank you. This is probably the most important question asked here tonight. It's very important for us to look at our community and ensure that we are doing the best we can to service individuals in our community. I'm very happy and very proud to be a part of a number of programs that are already working with grassroots individuals in our community to help address problems facing the healthcare, facing people who are in healthcare struggles here in our community. We have the Youth Wellness Hub that'll be opening very, very soon on Dennis Street here in Sault Ste. Marie. We have the treatment facility that's being opened by the Soo Area Hospital very, very soon here in Sault Ste. Marie. These are options that are coming forward at a grassroots level from organizations here in our community that I am very, very proud to be a part of, to know that we are addressing the root causes of crime and social disorder in our community. It is absolutely no secret that we have to help recruit doctors here to our community and medical professionals, and we have to lean on our partners in the provincial and federal governments to help speed up the credential recognition process so that they can get to work faster in our community. The other thing that we know is very, very clear. We have to get crime, especially violent crime, under control in our community. This is no secret. This is something that we have to work with our partners here in the community on, work with our provincial and federal partners to make sure that the laws that are being made and passed represent the needs of the communities across Canada. I know this firsthand. I've worked in policing for 20 years in our community. I know the dangers of some of the recent laws that have been passed that have changed things in our community, that have allowed offenders to be released and then often committing same offenses the same day. We need to address that with our partners to get it under control so that we can help.
Thank you. Next is Johnathan Lalonde.
Thank you for your question. Public health and safety cannot be solved by increasing the police budget and policing in Sault Ste. Marie. Increasing policing doesn't fix the root causes of crime and insecurity. Our culture is changing in Sault Ste. Marie. Youth are becoming bored. And these old-fashioned ways of thinking need to stop. We need to provide opportunities for our youth and young adults, increase the social service budgets, and provide social initiatives that will bring our community back together. We need to create a sense of community again. There are some great initiatives with the rehab center being built. We can also improve other service areas to tackle the drugs and addictions, in-home care options, because not everybody fits the same 12-step program or whatever. We need to look at individual assessment and rehabilitation.
Thank you. At this point, we invite closing remarks from our Ward 1 candidates. And I'd encourage each candidate to speak a bit about their leadership style and how they would ensure good governance on City Council within these closing remarks. You each have 2 minutes, and we begin with Brent Derochie.
Thank you very much for providing this opportunity tonight, allowing us all to express our views and thoughts. My leadership style is very simple. It is the way that I lead my life. I value honesty, integrity, and respect for others. I believe in holding myself to be responsible and accountable for all my actions. I will not tell you to work collaboratively for decisions that will be responsible and transparent with the spending of taxpayers' dollars. This is a serious job with serious issues and complexities that affect each resident of Sault Ste. Marie. In summary, my democratic leadership style is based on the principles of integrity, inclusion, respect, accountability, and responsibility. I humbly ask you for your support on October 24th so that we can get down to business moving the city forward responsibly and creating a bright future for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Sonny Spina.
Thank you. And thank you all for inviting us here today and organizing this event. I know that organizing events like this is not easy, It's quite time consuming and it's difficult, and I appreciate the time everyone's put into this. You know, over the years, I've had a lot of time to have experience in both the public and private sector in our community here in Sault Ste. Marie. I've built strategic partnerships with all levels of government in all kinds of communities across our city and outside of the borders of our community. I plan on bringing that to the table here in Sault Ste. Marie as a city councillor. You know, I firmly believe that our city's best days are ahead of us. We have a unique opportunity right here in Sault Ste. Marie right now because things have changed, things have shifted. We now have access to jobs and businesses from not only across Canada, but across the globe while living right here in Sault Ste. Marie. But we do have to be cautious. We need leadership that will proceed with caution because we know that right now we see record rates of inflation going across our country. People are finding it hard to make ends meet. It's important for us as municipal leaders to come forward and find solutions with all of our partners across all levels of government so that we can allow people to succeed in our community. I feel that I'm best suited to do that. My partnerships with all of our community partners around us and with all levels of government will help me inform those conversations. I'm also an extremely accessible individual. If any of you out there have tried to get a hold of me in the last couple of months while this campaign's been going on, you've reached me at the phone, you've reached me on email, and I've reached you at your doors. You can expect that to continue the entire time that I serve you as a city councillor if I'm elected. I know that I can make a difference in this community. I have made a difference in this community, and I plan on doing that for the next 4 years as your city councillor with your support on October 24th. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Johnathan Lalonde.
So I know that I am young. I know that I just recently graduated. I've been working now in Sault Ste. Marie, but I believe I have a lot to bring to the table. I've supplied a whole list of experience and qualities that I possess on SooToday answered the question online, and hopefully I have a lot I could bring to City Council. So with that, I am open and willing to work with the Mayor and Council. We have the opportunity to create a young slate that has vision and imagination. I believe that I have a good balance as a visionary, a servant, and have democratic leadership styles. And working with the diverse skills of the other counselors, we can complete, we can work with our youth. Hopefully there'll be a youth council as well that we will get direction to. I'm open to hearing from everybody. I will make myself accessible and available to everybody, and I'm easygoing and friendly, so just reach out to me.
Thank you. Next is Sandra Hollingsworth.
Thank you. I want to say thank you to Algoma University, Chamber of Commerce, and SooToday for holding this, and our media partners. I also want to say welcome to our new Suites that just recently moved here and those that have moved back. Why am I saying thank you? Because our future is based on those that live here, yes, but it's also based on those that just moved here or have moved back. I want to make sure that our immigration area continues to grow. Thank you to those that started the new restaurants. Thank you to those that have started the new businesses. You're adding to the backbone to our economy. Having said that, I also believe in customer focus. I would like to see City Hall to have a more open approach. We talked tonight, my colleagues here, about having basically a report card. I agree. I think it's terrible when you call City Hall and your phone call is not answered. It's answered in a few days. It should be answered by the end of the day. We as council and we as our managers and staff should all have a report card. Having said that, we are here. I ask you, we are here as partners. Yes, we have tried to reach out to you using the survey tools about the budget process. Yes, we've had town halls that maybe only had 5 people or 10 people, which is embarrassing. We have to do a better job. I ask you to take on the challenge with us. Be a partner with us. This is your community. When we reach out to you for feedback, please make sure you give us feedback. And having said that, as your Ward 1 councillor, I'll continue to do Ward 1 initiatives like the Slow Down campaign, and such as the Adventure Bus and Earth Day, and clean up our wards and clean up our community and our roads. But we also need to be a loud voice and work together and lobby province and federal. Please vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
On behalf of Algoma University, the Sault Ste. Marie Chamber of Commerce, and SooToday, I would like to thank each of our candidates for taking part in this forum. We wish each of you the best in the remaining campaign period. I would also like to thank the partners who presented this evening's forum. SooToday for helping organize the forum, collecting questions from the public, and streaming tonight's event online. Algoma University and the Sault Ste. Marie Chamber of Commerce for hosting the forum. The students of Algoma University's Political Science and Law and Justice courses for asking the questions this evening. The Sault Ste. Marie Chamber of Commerce would also like to extend thanks to North Star Consulting for its ongoing support of the Chamber and for its sponsorship. Thank you to the staff of the Ronald A. Irwin Civic Centre for their help preparing for tonight's forum. Finally, we would like to thank everyone here and at home for joining us. We hope that this discussion has helped better inform each of you about the candidates and their respective platforms. We encourage all eligible voters to exercise their democratic right on October 24th and have their voices heard in Sault Ste. Marie's municipal election. Thank you and good night.